intro. Hold up. Let me see. Well, I done messed up. Hit the wrong thing. Shoot. I'm struggling to find our intro. Let me see here. Doggone it. Here we go. Sorry about that, everybody. Here we go.
It's time for Cats Talk Wednesday. Small town and big city joined forces. Vinny Hardy of Lynch, Kentucky, and Terry Brown of Louisville, Kentucky, team up to give you free-flowing, laid-back sports talk. Focus on Kentucky Wildcats, as well as pertinent information in the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball.
And y'all got technical difficulties right off the bat. Behind the scenes stuff with me struggling to find the right intro button, playing the wrong one, looking silly. Y'all on Roku will see me looking and struggling, trying to find the right one. Finally got it played. And here we are. Terry Brown, Vinny Hardy, Cats Talk Wednesday. Stumbling into another episode, man.
That's the way it is, man. Stumbling at the end of the season, like my beloved Lakers, not even in the play-in games, and yeah. So I know you want to dance on their basketball graves and all that kind of stuff. I've been having to dive into Winning Time on HBO to relive some of the glory days. So
therapeutic now instead of a little therapy.
Yeah, like I said, I read the book Showtime by Jeff Pearlman, so I'm catching it. I like the way it's filmed. It's a little, they're breaking the fourth wall, talking to the camera and doing different things. It's good so far. I'm only in episode 2. I kind of waited so I could watch a whole bunch at a time. So diving into it, but as a Lakers fan, it's good.
There you go. Hey, if you approve, then that's all that matters. So and speaking of, and we got a fun show as always. We'll be talking some Kentucky football. We're talking Rhyne Howard going first in the draft. Since we started off on this Lakers, and look, y'all can follow us on Cats Talk Wednesday, Facebook and Twitter. Watch on Roku. Just type in BS3 space TV. Our episodes are on demand there. Thanks again to Ben Sutters III for allowing us to be part of this network with all the other great podcasts that are on. Frank Vogel, ties to Kentucky, went out there after leaving. He was at Orlando, the Pacers, then your Lakers.
Yeah.
Won a title in the bubble. Didn't go so well this year. He kind of maybe the scapegoat. The thanks coach picture with him holding the title. I thought Lakers Twitter, I think y'all could have done better than that. Maybe just release a statement. Don't put a picture of him with the trophy as you say, thanks coach, goodbye. But here's my question to you. Lakers, blue and purple and gold to the core that you are. The way this season went, all the ups and downs, the roster construction problems, issues at the beginning of the season, the way every single thing played out. Take out Frank Vogel, put in Pat Riley or Phil Jackson. Does it play out any different than it did?
I don't think so, because every combination, and the Lakers ended up having with the most starting combinations in the league. So Vogel was handcuffed from the get-go. I think I told you before the season started, I'm not optimistic because these dudes are old. And you had a bunch of old dudes who are set in their ways, and this is what happened. The reason the Lakers were good in the bubble, and people say as the bubble championship, they were the best team when the world stopped. They were the best team in the league. Now, I know that doesn't always guarantee a team will win the championship, but they were the best team in the league that season, and then everything stopped, and then they went into the bubble and they picked up. So it wasn't like they were a 500 team, went in the bubble, won under those crazy circumstances. So, a lot of the bubble championship, they were a good team that year. The next year, not quite as good, but defensively is where they were really good. Remember, they were up 2-1 on the Suns last year in the playoffs, and everybody got hurt. So
like 91 all over again.
yeah, taking me back to 90 and 90, 89 especially. When everybody got hurt.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So but so it was like, okay, how can this team, we knew with last year, healthy LeBron, healthy AD, we had the defense to be competitive. In everything we did as far as the roster moves, the defense got worse. So Russ ain't playing defense. Melo's not playing defense. Dwight's Defensive Player of the Year awards are probably 15 years old at this point. So LeBron's not the dog that he was. And so it was defensively. They couldn't stop anybody. I'd watch a bunch of games and they would be competitive and they couldn't get stops in the fourth quarter. There were, I don't have the advanced stats in front of me, but a lot of times they were, tied or had a lead in the fourth quarter and just couldn't get the stops to get over the hump. So I'm not surprised. This roster was limited. I think, like all things, I think people need to give the whole story, right? LeBron, he wrecks franchise. He also wins. Like everywhere he's played, he's at least played for a championship. So you got to give the whole story. So yes, when he leaves, Mike Brown in Cleveland, David Blatt in Cleveland, Tyronn Lue in Cleveland, Spoelstra in Miami is the only dude that was able to kind of wait LeBron out. Because I think that had a lot to do with Pat Riley. But yeah, you could say LeBron is a bad GM. He is. But for 20 years, having him on your team made you a viable champion.
That's true.
So I think that's part of it. I knew after the All-Star break, I kind of said to myself, okay, All-Star break, I think AD was healthy for that stretch. Let's see what happens. And the only way we were winning was LeBron scoring 50 points a game. And that's never been how LeBron teams win. He was in the scoring race this season, but that's routinely not how he does it. He's not a I'm going to go get my buckets kind of guy. That's not how he operates. But that's what he needed to do because the team was so dysfunctional. So, I don't know what will happen next season, the season after that. I know they're kind of landlocked with picks and different things like that. But as I've told you repeatedly, watching the Lakers winning time series, in the series, I don't know if you've watched it, but you haven't seen it? You should watch it.
No, I'm not.
But Dr. Buss has a meeting with Red Auerbach, and he tells Red Auerbach in 1979, basically, we're coming to bust your ass. We are going to be the new dynasty. And Red Auerbach puffs on his cigar and says, yeah, we'll see. And then yay verily came to pass. They won 5 out of the next, 11 championships. So, it's fun seeing the dramatic side because you know how it is, pointing out to the missus. Magic Johnson was not a popular pick internally or externally for the Lakers. Being the big point guard, that was an anomaly. Yeah. So a lot of that stuff that went into it, the coin toss, different things of that nature. So it's good seeing that. But as a Lakers fan, look, even if they don't win the next 10 years, I'm really good. Because as I explained to folks before, we got LeBron and got a championship, right? It's just 2 years old. I can look around the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball. All these teams have all these 5 or 10, 20-year plans. It doesn't amount to a hill of beans. But the Lakers just rolled into a championship because that's what they do.
Yeah, that's true. King.
I mean, we won, 5 since the Rockets have won? Since 95, see, that's the 3-peat and the back-to-back. And LeBron title 6. Okay, 6.
Just can't even keep up. Yeah, that's sobering. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, look, I understand the world's different, but for my money, and it's one thing to say the Lakers, since Dr. Buss passed away, have been a poorly run franchise. That I think, we've had more down years than good since that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say the Buss family is trying to win. And, you can point to this year. I don't call this year a super team because how old is Carmelo? How old is like these are name dudes, but this is not a super team. 2013, I'll give you. It didn't work out, right? 2004, it didn't work out. But as I've
Yeah,
told you before, those are just blips on what the Lakers do.
that's true.
As I've told you before, the Lakers are star-studded. They again, give us the two best dudes, and we will figure it out. And that's what they've done since Baylor and West when they moved to. Actually, before that, with George Mike and Clyde Levelette in Minneapolis, give us
Yeah.
two dudes, and we will figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
So, can they do it again? I don't know, and again, history's no indicator of future success, but 60 years of being in LA, I kind of like that track record.
Yeah.
You
That
look at
is
the
true.
NBA 75 and you see all the people that at one point wore purple and gold. Like I said, the luxury of being a Lakers fan, most of us don't even consider LeBron a real Laker. And he won a championship. I
Yeah.
ain't talking about the young dudes. I'm talking about like the Lakers fans, late 30s. All right. Like, hey, LeBron won a chip, but you know, Jerry West, look what Jerry West did. Look what Elgin Baylor didn't win one. And so it's different, but I'm excited to watch these playoffs, watch the games last night, watched the Timberwolves take care of the Clippers.
Yeah. I missed the
Because
comeback. Congratulations to them. I missed the comeback. I was asleep, but I'm glad they came back.
the Clippers, this is as good as it's been for the Clippers. I think I finally sent you that screenshot. Like the last decade or so, the Clippers have beaten the Lakers. They must beat us 2 out of 3 times, right? It is not even close. They've had playoff appearances. They've blah 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 blah. No Western Conference Finals, no chips. This is as good as it's ever been for the Clippers.
It's true. And so, no, that made you feel better. Watching the Clippers get bounced last night was kind of like, me watching Tennessee lose to Michigan. I was like, okay, I feel better now.
Yeah, and a lot of people were coming for Karl Anthony Towns. He didn't play particularly well. I didn't realize like this is the 2-year anniversary of his mom dying, and so I know you got to play through things and all this kind of stuff, but that young man has been through a lot, and I hate that soft label that he's somehow acquired. So I'm rooting on for him to do some big things against Memphis and John Morant. Hey, that Edwards John Morant matchup, that's gonna be must see TV. I'm gonna pop some popcorn and watch that.
Yeah, and Minnesota could win that series. I mean, Memphis was what, the 2 seed now, or the 1, whatever.
Yeah,
but they don't have boatloads of playoff experience and battle tested and all that. So it's the seeding is different. The record is what it is. But as far as this is Josh's first time in the playoffs too. So yeah, it's
And he got to deal with your boy Patrick Beverly. I don't know if you saw Nick Wright go on about Patrick Beverly. Patrick Beverly is what you need in the NBA. That is what's missing. When I put on my old man robe and I talk about what's missing, we need dudes that there's no analytics for. That's what I love about the NBA and basketball. There's just dudes that what they bring to your team, you can't quantify it. Patrick Beverly is annoying as hell. He's the captain of, if he's on your team, you love him. If he's not on your team, you want to punch that dude in the face.
Oh,
And
I loved him with Houston when he was messing with Russell Westbrook when they were playing OKC. Loved it. And now, of course, on the flip side, you're exactly right.
He's yelling at the Clippers owner Steve Ballmer last night. You need dudes like that. You need dudes that aren't the best. Like, you just need some dudes that can bring something else.
He carved out a career. He carved out a career, literally. He was in Arkansas. Nobody thought much of him, and he is just stick-to-itiveness, grinded, hustled his way to a longer career than anybody thought.
Because, as Bomani Jones said, he's one of those dudes, he can't go back. There's a lot of dudes in the NBA. Yeah, he's the dude that plays pickup ball in Tim's. Like, he's not going back. Right? There's dudes that come from all kinds of backgrounds in the NBA. You got Jokovic from Serbia, and that's a place he ain't going back. Like, he brought his family here because he's not going back there, right? And Patrick Beverly
Marcus Morris found out how tough he really was when he got that whiplash shot to the back.
When you get hit and the injury is something most people associate with car accidents, yeah, man. That's the thing.
More hood than I thought. He more hood than he didn't anticipate how hood dude was.
Bro, oh yeah. We think, oh, you from this tough area of America, brother, man. Serbia, they've been at like places when the men hit 18, you got to go to war. That's different. That is different.
Yeah.
There's the street tough we're used to, but there's that kind of tough. And Patrick Beverly from our kind of tough, and he's not going back. Whatever he's got to do, play defense, whatever it is, that's what he's about. And I can respect that.
Yeah.
Because he's not the best athlete. He's gonna shoot shots at the side of the backboard.
Yeah.
He's gonna talk trash, even though he's the 8th man on the team.
That's what he was talking to Westbrook when they played the Lakers. Like, he's trash. He's trash.
Yeah. He's talking in the bubble.
He stuck his head over his nose. He's like, he's trash.
Talking about Clay or Steph's time is over. It's our time. Give me that dude. Because here's the thing about that dude. People want to play with him. That's the difference. When you got a guy that doesn't want to get involved and all that kind of stuff, but we need more Patrick Beverly, and I can't believe I'm saying that. Yes. But we need more dudes where, they can't shoot the best. And again, analytics, you can't quantify what Patrick Beverly did. I don't even know what his stat line was last night. No. But I know he got that rip at the end. He's playing defense. He always is active. Hey, give me that dude.
Yep.
Now, he can't be your second or third guy, but you need a dude like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick Wright talking about, teams don't need that guy. Yeah, teams need that guy. You need a Mad Max on your team. You need a dude that's kind of okay. You need a dude like that.
Dude to stay on the edge.
You need that dude. It's like with my Lakers when they signed Ron Artest. Like, you need that dude.
Mm-hmm. So,
way back in the 80s and 90s, every team had a dude like that.
Mm-hmm.
Superstar ain't got to fight. We got this dude.
Yo, that's it. We have a big time guest coming up. First time coming on. Here should be in a few minutes. UK's DB coach, Chris Collins, coaching up the corners and just finished up the spring game and get to talk about all of that with him, how he's adjusting Lexington and the whole nine. Looking forward to talking the football with Coach Collins. So hopefully he'll be on here in just a few minutes.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm excited about football. And like we've talked before, Folks want to be negative on football because of something that happened in 1992. You got to let that go, man. We got these kids that was born after those heartbreaking losses. They don't know nothing about Kentucky being, except Kentucky being successful.
That's true. Yeah, we gotta watch it just like they have for sure. Rhyne Howard goes number one in the WNBA draft. The Atlanta Dream traded up to get her, and she ain't nothing but a hop and a jump away from home. Being right there from Cleveland, Tennessee. Atlanta's nothing from Chattanooga, Cleveland, Athens, all that right there. So uh, now Kentucky joins LSU and Notre Dame as the schools that have men's basketball, women's basketball, and football representation when it comes to number one picks in the draft. So that's pretty cool too.
That's a short list. That's a good list to be on. And I just realized, friend Adam Jacoby sent me a text. I didn't realize till then the basketball Wooden Award finalists, 2 Wildcats, 2 Hawkeyes. So that was I thought that was pretty cool with Rhyne Howard, Oscar Sheboy, Keegan Murray, and Caitlin Clark.
Man.
I said, look at this.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. And Iowa, that's back to back. They had Luca Groza last year.
Yeah.
Award winner. So that's pretty cool. But Rhyne Howard, she deserves it. I mean, her name's all over the Kentucky record book, and she played through a lot. Coaching change and all that kind of stuff. So I have a feeling, and again, I'm no expert at the WNBA, but she seems to be one of those they're going to latch on and make her mark. So it'll be exciting to see what she does once she becomes part of the Dream.
Mm-hmm. And she can, 6'2", just been able, great defender. Can score inside or outside. She can do pretty much. I mean, you say jack of all trades, and you throw that around, and versatility is really the name of her game because she's, she can go down there and guard somebody in the post if she needs to, because she's tall enough to do that. Or like you said, she can pop out, hit a three. She can drive on you. There's pretty much every facet of her game can be on display whenever she needs to do whatever.
Right. So I think they got a good one. I think the Atlanta Dream got a good one, obviously. So we're gonna stay watching her grow and develop. But yeah, that's fantastic. With all the number one picks and lost my train of thought there. But yeah. I'm thinking about football. Are you ready for some football? And I watch a little bit of the spring game, but it's like Big Blue Madness. You're not going to see a whole lot. It's all kind of scripted. You're not seeing anybody, play like you won't see anybody play hard defense in either one of those. It's basically 7-on-7. But what I did see, Will Levis seems to be that dude. I don't know if I would go as far as Justin Rowland, who said he's the best quarterback Kentucky's had since Tim Couch. I don't know if I would go that far. Now, on round of shots, Van Hiles and Anthony White agreed and said that he was the most talented. I've always got a soft spot in my heart for Andre Woodson.
No,
I just, he finished second All SEC to Heisman Trophy winning Tim Tebow. He authored some pretty big bowl games over Florida State. Obviously, the LSU game.
Mm-hmm. So, let me jump in because we can keep all of this going because our guest is on the line with us right now. He is about to go into his second season as defensive backs coach at UK. Just finished up his first spring game. We're talking about the UK DBs coach. We got Chris Collins in here backstage because we're on Roku and stuff TV. So we got to bring him in the green room. We got to bring him in. We're happy to have our guest on, Coach Chris Collins. Welcome to the show. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you guys having me.
Oh man,
Thank
we
you for
honored.
joining us.
Yeah, man. How you guys doing?
Doing very well, sir. Doing very
Can't
well.
complain. Can't complain,
No
man.
question.
How about yourself? My thing, you've been here less than a year as far as in Kentucky,
Mm-hmm.
getting hired, moving in. As far as just the off the field stuff, how's the transition? How's Kentucky? Had you been to Kentucky before? How you adjusting to Lexington? All that stuff. How's that working out?
Yeah, man, it's going well, man. I appreciate you taking the time to ask about family and, off the field a little bit. Got 10-month-old, be 11 months here in 2 days. So he's growing. My wife and I are getting very adjusted to Lexington. It's been a welcome. It was definitely a whirlwind, coming in with a newborn baby and moving and transitioning, going straight into the season. Having the year that we had, it was phenomenal. So we've gotten adjusted. We've kind of got our bearings and been able to explore the city a little bit. But Christopher III is definitely keeping us on our toes here at the house. So I just finished up bath time with him. So, but no, man, it's been a blessing. It's been phenomenal. Big Blue Nation has been amazing, welcoming. I've met almost every one of my neighbors in the neighborhood, which is a lot different from where I came from down in Atlanta. So, we're excited, man. We're blessed to be here for sure.
We happy to have you. If you hear a little noise up here, I told Terry before we came on, our niece, who is almost like a daughter to my wife and I, she just got in. She lives outside of Savannah.
Oh, okay.
She's got a 11-month-old with her. So they're down there downstairs oohing and over the baby. And if you get that diaper change and you might hear a little hollering, so if y'all hear a little noise, that's what it is.
Hey, trust me, I know exactly what you mean, brother. Trust me. Trust me.
Yeah, hey, but man, it is, which we had Bradley McKee on, who's a videographer for KSR, does a lot of video for the football and basketball. He's our age, but he just got about a 10, 11-month-old. He got teenage twins and now got a little boy about the same age as yours. I meant to say it to him last week. When you're in it, and you'll probably find this out, Coach, the sleepless nights seem like they're never going to end. But before you know it, you move on to that, and then it's teething, and then it's solid food, and then it's potty training. And you look back, you're like, well, it's, it felt like it was longer than it was, but these phases just go from one to another pretty quick. And then
they put time in perspective for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I noticed you said he's a third. I'm a third as well.
There we go. A little namesake action going on. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. Hey, you good? You good with me, boss? You good with me? Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, man, like I said, we just honored to have you on here. Appreciate it. And then look, and like I told Terry, no disrespect to Stoops, the big dog, Brad White. Everybody hears from them all the time. I said, let me hear about Chris Collins. So, we hear about the DC and all those guys all the time. Let me get the DB's coach on here.
I try to stay under the radar, man. I try to stay
like a good defensive back, right? He got a short memory, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Short memory. That's right. But no, I appreciate Coach, the invite. Really do.
Oh, absolutely. Watch a little bit of the spring game, but I know it's not like a full game. It's more for the fans and kind of get everybody fired up as we move to the summer. But from what you saw of your guys, we're going to get some high-powered offense. That's the name of the game. So from what you have seen in spring practice up to the spring game, kind of is your group where they should be, where you expect them to be at this point?
Yeah. To touch on the spring game, it was an interesting day. Started off snowing, sun came out. It was a little chilly, but Big Blue Nation showed up and they were excited to see the guys go out there and perform. And they did that, man. The most important thing for us was coming out of it healthy, getting a chance for guys to get some valuable reps under the lights a little bit and in a little bit of a high stakes situation in terms of with fan base being out there instead of just in practice for some of those young guys. But again, most importantly, being healthy and having all our guys rolling into summer and getting ready for August. So But the group, man, they worked hard, man. We had a really competitive spring. Some guys really grew up. Young guys got some valuable reps, man, that can't be replaced in terms of that experience of being out there touching that hot stove. You can tell them 1,000 times, right? But until they touch that hot stove and experience it for themselves, that, man, coach wasn't lying to me now. It's a little bit different realization. So that was the biggest thing for us, developing depth. Some guys elevated, in the back end that really kind of proved their worth to their teammates, and building that trust. And we really went in with that goal for a few guys, and they did that. So very excited about, where we're going in the spring, all right, and then where we finished up coming out of spring.
Now,
I know.
Hold on, Benny. Let me ask my question.
Uh-oh.
Well, the offensive line, the big blue wall, kind of gets all of the pub and everything like that. But when I'm watching the NFL, I see the Mike Edwards, I see the Kelvin Joseph, I see a lot of Kentucky DBs making some noise.
Yeah.
Is that group kind of, like, hey, we can make a name for ourselves as well. We got dudes in the league. We got all SEC dudes right here. Mm-hmm. So do you kind of see them developing that same kind of, hey, we're pretty good back here too?
Yeah. There's definitely a swagger that Coach Stoops has built, in terms of his lineage with the secondary. The guys definitely believe that they're one of the elitist groups in the country, and rightfully so. Like you said, we've got a lot of guys at the next level who have had tremendous success here at Kentucky and have carried that tradition on to the next level. It's not like they're just on rosters hanging out. These are guys who are starters in the NFL, who've won Super Bowls, who are doing great things with their career after their time here at University of Kentucky. So I think our guys definitely, they call themselves the no-fly zone. It's kind of our mantra. And they've taken that, that old adage and added to it. We'll probably have 2 more guys this upcoming draft who get an opportunity. So coming from the secondary, and, got some young guys in the waiting. Carrington Valentine had a really good spring. Andrew Phillips had a really good spring. And so excited about those. And then some young guys who mid-year freshmen, guys who haven't had a chance to, to establish themselves on the roster, had a really good spring as well. So to kind of answer your question, man, I think our, Coach Stoops, number one, and Coach White have done an amazing job of developing defensive backs here. And we got some guys that can continue that legacy.
Now you can go, Vinny.
Man, my bad. My fault. Didn't jump on you and step on you. My bad.
It's all good, man.
You were talking about, Coach, because look, y'all go by the next man up mentality, and we hated to see Vito go down. And you mentioned guys stepping up, and so you mentioned Phillips and Carrington. Who all, has kind of stepped up, in addition to them, and what are each of these guys kind of bringing to the table? Like, is it, this guy's anticipation, this guy in bump and run coverage, who's kind of bringing what to the table when it comes to that and kind of stepping up and the challenges there, who's wanting to grab hold of it? Yeah.
You mentioned Vito, man. Vito's a phenomenal football player, infectious personality, man. So it was, he moved to corner in the spring and was having a lot of production. Just loves to play the game, plays it the right way. We talk about it all the time. He kind of has no in between. It's either full speed or no speed. You know what I mean?
Blows up everything.
Yeah, man. he definitely does it. So, but he embraced moving the corner, and, we hated, that had the injury that he did, but he's doing a great job in terms of working himself back into shape and, taking care of rehab and all those things. But, to kind of answer your question, each guy brings a little bit different to the table. Carrington has really worked extremely hard at being a guy that can win at the line of scrimmage in terms of being able to take guys off the board in press man situations. He's done a really good job in investing in that technique and being able to sharpen his craft in that regard, and continuing to work in other areas that we talked about, like goals that he wanted to address and getting better. And so that was really encouraging to see a guy who's, been in the fire. Last year was basically, he was a full-time starter for us, as, if you wanted to say, he basically was a true freshman because of COVID, you know what I mean? So he had a few snaps in the COVID season, but, as a full-time starter, man, came into the SEC and did some really good things, and we're looking to build off of that. And he had a spring, in my opinion, that will help him do that, as long as he continues that trajectory throughout the summer, throughout fall camp, and be really excited. Andrew Phillips is a different body type, but brings a physicality, a tenacity, great short area quickness and explosiveness, and a really good tackler. So I'm excited. He got some versatility to his game. He's worked hard at building his body with Coach Ed and Coach Hill in the weight room. And so really excited to kind of see how we can implement him in terms of our overall scheme. He did some good things throughout spring in multiple different positions. But again, he's a guy that we're really excited in terms of his work. He's got to continue, like I said about Carrington, continue to grind, continue to push the envelope, and continue to elevate his game. And Jalen Geiger had a really good spring in terms of safety position. Ty Agent is an old vet back there. Yeah. He's got the gray cap right now. You know what I mean? So just feeding into those younger guys, him and Carrington, and starting to develop that leadership role, replacing Yusuf. Those are big time shoes to fill, and so those guys kind of established themselves as leaders back there. And are navigating those young guys who, again, are touching that hot stove for the first time. So they got some blisters, you know what I mean? They got some blisters from touching that stove and learning and growing. But again, the work, that those guys put in, Maxwell Harrison, Elijah Reed, Andre Stewart, Huey, Adrian Huey, excuse me. I always call him by his last name. So Adrian Huey, those guys got a lot better in terms of the reps. And again, they got some invaluable experience by being thrown in that fire this spring. So
good stuff. I got some more football stuff. I got to flip back to you though. Just down at Georgia State doing your thing, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I don't know, maybe in your journey, did you maybe have it as a goal to maybe be a coach at the SEC one day, or if you get a call from Coach Stoops, you're like, oh, Kentucky calling. How was that? Were you just going along, doing your thing at GSU, or were you like, I'm on a mission to have a job in the SEC? What was your mindset? How were you kind of when you got the call that Kentucky was interested?
Number one, I was highly surprised and excited about it when I got the call. For me, my career has been a guy working his way up from Division II football. You know what I mean? So I'm really learning the game in its purest form, and I had a chance to be blessed to work for some really good defensive coordinators and head coaches in my time. And so I was just concentrating on being the best coach at Georgia State at the time, honestly. My wife was about to have our first child, so a lot of my focus was towards that. And so we had to just come off a bowl championship there, and so had really good momentum coming into the spring and all that good stuff. And so we had just finished up spring practice not too far after. So, my focus was on Georgia State. In the back of your mind, you always want to, I put a 5-year plan down and I always want to work towards building that. But at that time, my focus was on being a dad. Honestly, that was where my entire mind frame was. And so, getting the phone call from Coach Stoops and Coach White, going through the interview process, I mean, that in itself was amazing. Their patience with me because, again, we were on call waiting for the baby to be born, and so going through that process, man, those guys were amazing. Just being really, really, really gracious with their time, told me a lot about our head coach, about our defensive coordinator, and not who they were as coaches or bosses, right? Who they are as people. And so for me, man, it was like, hey, I'll go lay on the sword for these guys. Because I saw that they definitely prioritized my family and being there for my wife and being there for my son as we were going through that process. Even though it was getting close to the season, they had to make some things happen. It was late in the summer, and they were, hey, coach, take your time. We'll work around your schedule. You let us know, and that told me everything that I needed to know. And so. About the people here at the University of Kentucky and the football program. And so extremely blessed and excited, man. But like you said, I was concentrating on being the best coach where my feet were and getting ready to be a daddy, ready to be a daddy. So
exactly. Now, when you got the call and you're like, whoa, okay, Kentucky's calling. And then you look at Stoops' background, he's looking at you to come in and coach DBs.
Yeah.
He coached DBs. Mm-hmm. He's a defensive guy. He coached Ed Reed at the U. He did this and he did that.
Yeah, some great.
did that make you like get a little bit nervous, or did that kind of reaffirm that, whoa, what I'm doing must really be pretty good stuff? How did you, when you kind of looked
Yeah.
at that? Were you like,
No, when I looked at that, I looked at it as a great opportunity to be a sponge, soak up as much as I possibly can. You know what I mean? And learn from a proven veteran that's had a lot of success in the back end. I mean, a lot. Like you said, he's coached some Hall of Famers now.
yeah,
Tremendous amount of first round picks and has success literally every school he's been in the back end. So for me, it was more like, man, it's a great opportunity to be able to learn and grow and develop, and then kind of getting the chance to find out more about the program. That's one of his, cornerstones, is recruiting and develop, and I think that carries over to the coaching staff, and so that's not just, hey, for our players, he wants us to grow as coaches, man. And I've been able to soak up a lot of knowledge, and I plan to continue doing that. From Coach Stoops in terms of specifically with the defensive backs, and as well as Coach White, man, is a phenomenal brain in terms of defensive football. One of the sharpest guys, and I've been blessed to be with some really good defensive coordinators, and he's top class. Sharpest guy I've been around. Does a great job of breaking things down for our players, making it simple so those guys can go play fast. And so, again, thrilled to death, man, really am. But to answer your question, I looked at it as a phenomenal opportunity to be able to soak up and learn. At the end of the day, man, if you stop learning, you stop growing. And so I want to keep growing in this profession and be the best version of myself. And to do that, it definitely pays off to be under a great head coach that's been in my shoes, and kind of understands, why DB coach, he wants to lay under the radar, man. You know what I mean? And all that good stuff. So yes, sir.
You already touched on this a minute ago, based on how they interacted with you, and it was all you need to know with the way they handled revolving things around your schedule with your wife about to have your first child and all that. So you, not saying that they're old, but you're a younger coach coming in. So was it hard to kind of come in and be the younger guy? I mean, CJ Conrad is there, a young dude just finished playing a few years ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they're 40s and 50s and you're early 30s. Was that transition go smooth as well when you just worked your way as a new younger guy on the staff? Did that go smooth too?
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna say those guys are old by any stretch of the imagination. Listen, wisdom, man. It's wisdom. You know what I mean? But no, man, they still got a lot of young blood in them, man. Them guys still go and get after it. So it wasn't a big difference in terms of the energy and in terms of the pace and all that good stuff, man. Again, Coach White, man, he gets after it with the best of them. So, and Coach Stoops, he's that veteran, man. He's been in those fires, he's been in those wars. He's calloused over a little bit. You know what I mean? My goal is to be in those shoes one day, where I've been in those fires, I've been in those wars, and still standing. And so, but no, man, it was good. The biggest adjustment for us, honestly, was just the timing of when we came in. Going into this right into the season, like you mentioned, not having a spring practice to kind of get a familiarity with the players, learning the system, learning the players, learning, our way of doing things, the culture here at Kentucky. That was kind of the biggest, adjustment. But in terms of being the younger coach on the staff, I'm not gonna say the young, but a younger coach on the staff. Those guys got plenty of juice, plenty of energy. So it wasn't much in terms of drop off or comparison in that.
That's cool. Now you've been here, like, this is gonna be your second full season.
Mm-hmm.
So you, as a DB coach, you see this offense every day. You see those guys on the other side every day. Mm-hmm. So what are some of maybe the similarities in what Liam Cohen did, and now as you scheme up Rich Scangarello every day, what are some of the similarities and differences in their philosophies and how they're trying to attack you guys every single day?
Yeah, there are a lot of similarities in terms of the run game, a lot of similarities in terms of the throw game as well. I think the biggest difference is kind of just the way in Coach Rich attacks his play calling. I think that's the biggest difference that I've seen, kind of tempo and when he chooses to take his shots and when he chooses to be conservative. For both offenses, they had a chance to have a really good gunslinger back there, and that helps a whole bunch. That Joker Will's got rope, a cannon for an arm now. And so he makes some throws that are like, wow. I mean, as a DB coach, you're like, man, coverage couldn't got any better. You know what I mean? Like, hey, throw your hands up, fellas, and go on to the next one. You know, so you know, it's been good in terms of being able to see that, you know, and have that competition every day, and it helps our guys sharpen their toolbox. But again, the offenses and the carryover has been, you know, I think very similar for the guys. You know, the run game and the pass game have some similarities for sure. I think it's just kind of the flow and the pace and you know, kind of the timing of when things happen. What I've noticed, you know, have been the biggest difference. Not necessarily the exact plays, you know.
And you guys, you know, it's some new guys in the receiver room, the guys you're trying to lock up every day in practice. Based on what you've seen so far, who do you see being some problems for opponents on that other side of the ball? Because you already went up against them and will continue to do so. Who you see being a problem?
Yeah, no, I think, you know, starting off young and kind of working my way out, I think Dane Key came into spring as a mid-year freshman and got better and better and better at a surprisingly fast rate. You know, I think Coach Woodard's done an amazing job at developing and helping his growth. And, you know, Coach Rich has done a really good job of finding his strengths really early and identifying those as a guy that's competitive, you know, really good at the top of the route, really strong hands. And so I think he's going to be a guy that's going to make a big time name for himself throughout his time here at the University of Kentucky. Tavian Robinson is another guy, man, that you know, came on as an older guy, you know, transfer, brings a different kind of skill set. You know, he plays with a lot of different pace to his game, almost like a point guard, you know. And so he's another one that's, you know, created some head scratching evenings. Like, hey, we got to be better at the matchups and finding, you know, the angles on them to be able to cut them off and be able to go compete and finish plays. So those two guys, man, for me, really caught my eye in the spring, going against them and saying, hey, man, this guy, you know, he causes some issues in terms of matchups and, you know, catch radius and things of that nature. You know, C. Lou's had a really good spring. D. Harris, you know, worked really hard, had a really good spring as well. You know, so they've got some weapons, man. We got some young guys coming in. We got some amazing speed that adds to an offense that's not afraid to take shots. And so as a defensive back coach, when you're seeing guys who run, you know, 10-4, 10-7s coming in, shoot, man, it gets a little hair on your chest, man. Gets a little hair on your chest. I'm just glad they're on our team. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it adds some years to you a little bit, man. Just getting a chance to practice against them every day. So those guys have done a really good job, like I said, of really investing, you know, in this spring, and I think they've gotten better. And so I'm excited to see them as they go through the summer and go through the fall.
Now, you born and raised in High Point, North Carolina, right?
Yes, sir. Yep, that's home.
Kentucky fans even know that because that's where Tubby Smith played his ball and just went and recently retired from. You know, they put his name and his jersey up in the rafters. So, you know, we know a little bit something about the hometown, man.
Yeah, man, the hometown. So funny, I'll give you a quick story, man. Tubby and my uncle, Pete Collins, played together at High Point University. Right. So I've known Tubby pretty much from 6 years old up. I used to come to basketball camps, you know, High Point, North Carolina, big basketball. I used to come to basketball camps and stay at Tubby's house, and not even, you know, at 8 years old, 10 years old, realize, you know, man, this is the head coach at Kentucky. You know what I mean? Like, not even be able to fathom kind of what's really going on. I'm just out here playing basketball, shooting ball, having a good time. So I was playing with Saul and all those guys at the house, man. So so it's kind of come full circle, you know, on the other end of it, you know, playing coaching ball here, but, you know, to be able to be a kid coming here, you know, witnessing the Big Blue Nation. I mean, Tayshaun Prince, all those guys were on the team at that time. I'm just trying. I ain't worried about Tubby. I'm trying to get their autograph. You know what I mean? Not even knowing the presence of greatness. You know. And so, so like I said, man, it's been an amazing journey, and you know, we're really excited about the future for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, you played your ball at Western Carolina. So you're at Catamount.
Yeah.
Over 300 tackles. You played linebacker for them. So your best play, your best game, best moment, whatever you want to give us from your days you know, locking people up for the catamount.
No doubt. Now I got to clarify something. Okay, I played nickel. Okay. All right. So as a DB guy, when you say linebacker, that cuts me a deep, man. That cuts me. I'm just playing.
You got to clarify.
I was just close to I was like Mike Edwards, man. I was like Mike, man. I was just close to the box, man. I was a DB, baby. Nah, I'm messing with you. But no, man, we had, I learned a lot. I learned a lot at Western Carolina. I was blessed to play 3 spots while I was there. I grew a bunch as a young man. Probably some of my fondest memories of playing there, of course, against our rival Appalachian State, where my wife went to school. So those were some really good, some really good memories playing those games for the Jug. We played for a Jug back then. We were both in the SoCon. Had some really good games versus the Citadel. They had some NFL receivers before they went to the triple option. And so it was a tough league. Georgia Southern, man, had some nail biters versus those guys. It was a really tough league. I enjoyed it. Played a lot of different style of offenses, so it forced you to, really learn and grow. And as a player, you kind of take that for granted. Like, man, I played against triple. I played against split backs. I played against spread. I played against power. I played against all those different offenses, and you're just like, okay, it's just the next guy, the next opponent. But then when you get into the coaching element, you're like, man, that's a lot in a season. Like, most of the time, maybe only play 2 truly different styles of offense. They may have different philosophies, but the style may not be that far off. And so, in that league, man, I was able to kind of cut our teeth on some really interesting and unique schemes. And so I enjoyed my time. It was what I needed, man. Growing up, I tell every recruiter I talk to, man, find out what's the best fit for you and where you are in your life, and so Western Carolina was a phenomenal fit for me and where I was at that time in my life. And, I'm forever grateful for my time in Colorway.
Now, I got to ask you this, since I messed up. You are a DB. Apologies again.
I'm messing.
Who is your favorite cornerback of all time?
Of all time?
Yeah.
So I go back and forth. I had this argument all the time, man. I go back and forth. I love Champ. I love Champ Bailey, man. I've always been a Champ Bailey fan. I think he was an elite defensive back in his prime. He was one of the best ever. It's a lot of young guys that I still enjoy. I enjoy Jalen Ramsey. Richard Sherman, even though he's not a young guy. Gilly. He just got traded to the Panthers not too long ago. I respect those guys, but I think, when I go back and truly look, Patrick P is another one that, I've always watched and, tried to study and steal little things that he's able to do in his game. But man, just thinking about like how much of a specimen in terms of width, size wise, this guy, Darrelle Revis. People don't give Darrelle's credit, man. That joker was a monster now. I mean, thick human, elite ball skills, could run with the best of them, even though his speed wasn't, the most impressive part of his game. And stops on the dime, slips routes, man. He had a tremendous career. And so, I know a lot of people say Dion and the glitz and glamour names, but Darrelle Revis, man, he rolled those sleeves up and he got it done at a high rate for a long time. With the Jets. So I would say that's probably my favorite defensive back, even though I respect and look up and try to learn from a lot of those old vets and respect a lot of these young guys in the game right now too.
So when you having that conversation, or when you're talking about what goes into who's the best for yourself, does the guy have to travel? Does he have to follow the number one receiver for the other team all game long? Or because some guys, Richard Sherman, he don't travel. Such and such travels, he don't. You hear that in the debate a lot. What is traveling? Is it that important to you? This guy needs to lock up the number one all day, or does that not matter as much to you? Where you come out on the traveling and not traveling thing?
As a competitor, it matters. But I understand the schematic aspect of it too. Maybe that some fans necessarily may not always see, and some schemes don't allow you to do that. Some schemes are true right and left. And so I understand that aspect of it too, but that competitive nature says, hey, the best versus the best, let's go. And so I do like to see when a guy, and that's what I think makes Jalen so special. He can slide in the slot. You can't run from him. He'll slide in the slot and take your best slot receiver off the board. And so I think that's what makes him, really special. But the game at that time wasn't as flexible, because I do feel like a lot of those guys had the skill set to be able to slide inside, if they needed to, play right and left if they needed to. But again, I think at the end of the day, the skill set, their performance on a week in and week out basis, what they did to whoever lined up against them, for me, holds the most weight.
Is it more of a, maybe I'm wrong, is it more an NFL thing where traveling was more emphasis on that, or did it happen in college too and we just don't maybe pay attention as much? Or
no, in college it's a lot less likely, for guys to truly travel with the best. It happens every blue moon, but a lot of times the schemes are kind of built in college a little bit different, into where you have a guy who plays predominantly into the boundary and a guy that plays predominantly to the wide side of the field. So a lot of times, you don't see that as much at the college level. And those guys, in the NFL, there is no hash. Everything's basically in the middle of the field, because the hash marks are so tight, so there's I shouldn't say hash, but short side of the field, and so, those guys both have to be able to play in space. And so that's why I think you see a little bit more of the traveling in the NFL than you actually do in college.
Man, makes sense. Coach, you don't come on here and drop all kind of knowledge. Just finished bath time with little man and hopped on here with us. Just finished the spring game, got a season coming up, and you still was able to just hop on here with two dudes you have no idea who they are, and you still, still gracious enough to do it, man.
Benny, I appreciate you. Tony. Appreciate the invite, man. And anytime, man, don't hesitate to reach out, man. I'll jump on, hang out with you, man. I enjoyed you guys, man.
I appreciate it, Coach. One last thing. I'm here in Iowa. I moved to Iowa when I married my wife in the fall. So thank you so much for that bowl game, because I've been obnoxious Kentucky fan.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, I'm letting them know.
There you go.
So we certainly appreciate that.
Hey, no question, man. Anything we can do. Keep rocking Big Blue Nation, man. We travel the best in the country now. We travel the best in the country.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Coach. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. You have a good one.
You too.
You too, sir.
All right.
Chris Collins, UKDB coach, hopping on here TV, man. That dude, he straight brought it, man, on every single question, man.
Absolutely. It's good to get to the people that, the nuts and bolts. Like you said, Stoops is going to get his pub, but there's so many other coaches and so many other people involved with making the program work. So appreciate Coach Collins coming on here to chop it up. I certainly appreciate that. And I, for one, had never thought about traveling as far as defensive backs and that kind of thing. So drop a little bit of knowledge for me.
Yeah.
And he's right. Darrelle Revis gets overlooked when we talk about lockdown corners. Of course, it starts with Dion, right? Then Champ, then Woodson, then the Jalen Ramseys of the now. But
I begrudgingly put Darrell Green in there. I hated the Redskins at the time, but I put him in there back in the, he did his thing for them. I couldn't stand him, but I had to give him his credit.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a thankless position. Everybody remembers when you get burned.
Yeah.
But you gotta shake that off, man. It takes a special person to be on the a cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have that short term memory, man. You gotta be able to give up that 30 yard play. You got to get right back up and do it again. So and everybody can see when you mess up.
Yeah. Oh, he bit on a double move. Oh Lord. Yep. And
get them hips out of here I am sounding like Mel Kiper Jr. Can't wait for the draft to hear that guy. He's got bad hips or whatever he says. But yeah, I appreciate Coach coming on and talking about it. And I'm excited for football.
Oh yeah. We'll do our predictions, but the schedule looks to be favorable again, and that's in large part to a lot of credit just Kentucky just continue to rise up as a program that makes the schedule favorable. you know, because every schedule
Absolutely.
back in the day used to be daunting. We used to be like, oh Lord, can we win 4 or 5, maybe 6 on a miracle year? But that's now the schedules we don't intimidated by the schedules like we used to be. Because they have a legit chance every single Saturday now.
And just real quick, someone put this out on Twitter. SEC football records over the past 5 years. Okay, Alabama's number 1, 64-6, which is insane. Georgia number 2, 58-10. LSU number 3, 45-19. Number 4, Texas A&M, 41-20. Number 5, your Kentucky Wildcats, 40-23.
That's
in the SEC. So that is 3 teams that won championships in the last 4 or 5 years: Texas A&M, and then Kentucky. So that's more. Kentucky's got more wins than Florida, Auburn, Mississippi State, Missouri, Ole Miss, USC Junior, Tennessee, Arkansas, and Vandy. Kentucky's got 40. Tennessee 27. So yeah. So when you roll around, and we're going to get that as it gets over the summer, when you hear folks talking about, Kentucky fans think that they're good. Yeah, the numbers back it up. Like, just because you don't think Kentucky football is good, they're good.
No.
Paul Feinbaum had a question he put out either yesterday or today. I can't remember. Who's gonna challenge Alabama in the West? Who's gonna challenge Georgia in the East? It's Kentucky. I've already said, just looking at that schedule, that last game of the year, last conference game against Georgia, I assume and I predict that's going to be for the SEC East Championship. That's my assumption.
Nope.
I know we're going to dive and go game by game, but I got no qualms saying that. Kentucky's been the second best school in the SEC East for about 5 seasons now. The numbers bear that out.
So hopefully this year, cold. Hopefully we get this 25 degrees and snowing when Georgia comes up in November.
Yeah, so what's tripped people up is the inability to beat Tennessee.
Yeah.
And now consistently beat Florida. Those 2 games, you knock those 2 out, and at that point, it's just a mental thing with it being Tennessee and Florida.
No.
But
Florida got a first-year coach. You know what I always say, when you've been around established, you playing somebody with a first-year coach. I know it's down there, second week of the season, but that's his first SEC conference game ever as a coach. This Billy Napier dude from Louisiana or wherever he came from, he did good over there. That's why he got the Florida job. But this is his first time sitting in that seat. And so, Coach Stoops got to, take advantage of that. And because he took his beatings, he took his whoopings when he was, he was 9 years ago, he was a first-time SEC coach getting his brains beat in, the cupboard was a lot worse than this guy Florida's going to get, but still, you gotta take advantage of that. Welcome him to the league. Welcome him to the league.
Absolutely. So I'm excited, but there's so much other stuff going on as well. The Kentucky softball team hit the University of Louisville.
But mercy rule.
Yeah. Not quite Oklahoma, who's 36-0, mercy rule 25 opponents. Like it, man. Woo, we haven't seen anything like that. But the softball team is doing good. Baseball, look, they got some important series coming up to turn what was a promising season. They've got the work cut out for them on the baseball side. So Abby Steimler.
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
She's
Mhm.
knocking it out of the park. So I get it. Football. I'm excited for football too, but there's still Wildcats competing. Both men's and women's track teams are top 10.
Yeah.
Like we said last week, the men's tennis is top 10. Like when
And
we say all cats everything,
Coach Florial's been gone for a minute too. I mean, he came and shot them up to prominence. Then Kenny Harrison, who came on this show with us, and then
yeah,
Sidney McLaughlin after that, and now he's been in Texas for a minute, and it's not like they went back to obscurity as a program.
no,
They're
they
still
maintained
doing
it.
well. Mm-hmm.
They maintained it. So, I'm all cats everything. I do miss being here in Iowa, not being able to go to as many games or any games.
Yeah,
That's a long road trip, but
Kansas
I
game.
do miss it. Yeah. But I do miss going to John
Yeah,
Crop and Kentucky
yeah.
Proud Park and the Bell
Mm-hmm.
Complex. Going to Memorial Coliseum and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned Oklahoma on the softball side. Begrudgingly, Tennessee has gotten to where they are number one in the country in baseball, and they are. You mentioned Kentucky got some winnable series. Kentucky still got to play them.
Yeah.
That's a tough series that's going to be looming, but Oklahoma's doing what they're doing, and Tennessee got to give them credit. They're doing the same thing on the baseball side. Only lost one game and undefeated. Last time I checked, still in SEC play. So they're
Yeah. They're setting some records.
got a kid throwing 103, 104. I'm like, what is Aroldis Chapman doing jumping into a Tennessee uniform? He don't have any eligibility, but they're doing their thing. What's the outlook for the Cubs, for your lovely wife and now your team? What's Cub Nation talking about?
They're upset about the Ricketts, the owners. One of the teams crying the poorest during the lockout, yet the family is looking to buy. I don't know, one of those soccer teams over there. I'm not even going to pretend to know which one. So it's frustrating because as I've spoken before, if you are one of those legacy franchises, if you're the Cubs, the Yankees, or not the White Sox, but the Red Sox in baseball, the Lakers, the Knicks, we know from just watching sports, you don't even have to try to be good to make money.
Yeah.
For me, once the Clippers, they took them away from Donald Sterling, and the Clippers were worth over $1 billion, and they haven't tried to win in 50 years. The game is the game, right? So the frustrating point is people are still going to go to Wrigley. The Cubs are still going to be a thing. They're able to charge the highest ticket fees, ticket prices in the league by far. You should at least be able to put a competitive product on the ground.
No.
Wilson Contreras, their catcher, all-star, one of the last remaining stars from the World Series team. They're kind of lowballing him. It looks like that situation is going to have arbitration. So when it comes to sports, you've got to at least attempt. You got to give off if you're the ownership, you got to pretend that you're trying to win. And that's the frustrating thing, especially on the professional level. Is your team trying to win? Again, going back to the Lakers this season, I didn't think any of those moves made any sense. But you bring Russell Westbrook in, my assumption is you're trying to win.
No.
We make fun of people, all these super teams. They're trying to win. You bring in Karl Malone and Gary Payton, you're trying to win. You bring in two-time MVP Steve Nash and 4 or 5 Defensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year Dwight Howard. You're trying to win. So I can roll with that. What I can't roll with is you rolling out here with Tariq Black and Robert Sacre and Ronnie Turioff and Jordan Farmar. I ain't having that. The Lakers aren't having that.
There's too much Gonzaga on that team. That's what was
It was a
wrong.
lot going on. It was a lot
Sack
going on
and
over there.
Turioff. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, it was. It was bad. And I. But they're trying to win. Like that's the one thing. If you're a fan, are you trying to win? I've repeatedly given your Rockets a lot of credit. When they had James Harden, they tried to make it work. Here's Dwight Howard. That won't work. Here's Chris Paul. That won't work. Like they tried. They y'all got Russell Westbrook before we did. Russell Westbrook.
It was so funny. He said, "What I didn't understand what Vogel's issue was with. He didn't understand what Vogel's issue was with him." And I was like, "Baby, you shot 37% from the field and 27% from three. That's probably what his issue was."
Man, like I said during, I can't remember when it was. It happened a lot. How are you on the left side of the rim and you hit the board on the other side, on the right side, and it doesn't hit the rim? Like I am not a good shooter, basketball. I'm not a good shooter. I don't know if I could do that. So it's a fair question to say you can't shoot like that. Mm-hmm. The issue is with when it comes to Russell Westbrook, he was so physically gifted and probably as athletic as a point guard or any guard as we've seen in the NBA.
Yeah.
His acceleration, his speed, agility, all that kind of stuff. But he never got that fine tuning. What do you do when you can't out jump everybody? And that's always a transition those wings have to make. Can you do it when the physical gifts aren't there? Can you still be successful? And that to me is one of the great things about Michael Jordan. He figured out I can't fly high when I got to play these Pistons, right? So he got that fadeaway game, and it's deadly. I mean, there's nothing like Jordan in that mid post with his back to the basket, the defender with his arm and his back like this, and you're like, help, like, because you don't know what he's going to do, right? So you got to get that. Kobe had that fadeaway. And it's, can you do it when the skills aren't there? Or are you just getting by on pure athleticism? And so Russell never made that. He never made that transition. And I'm not knocking him, but that's just one of those things. Can you do that? And he hasn't shown he's able to do that. So I don't know how the Lakers reshuffle around and retool for next year. No first round picks, no cap room. I don't know. But depending on LeBron to score 30 points a game ain't going to get it done.
No.
I hate it. Depending on Anthony Davis to stay healthy for 75 games may not be the go-to either. So I don't know what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll figure it out.
That's it. At some point they will. They sure will.
I know you Laker haters are happy. But the good news is the people that are happy when the Lakers lose, you're not happy a lot.
No, so that's what we enjoy it when we get it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it when it happens for sure.
Absolutely.
Sure. We had the two Western Conference play-ins last night. So tonight it's
the East, right?
Yeah, Charlotte and Atlanta, is it?
Yeah. And Charlotte and Atlanta, and then we get the Spurs and the Pelicans.
Okay.
Yeah, because we got the Nets last night. The Nets beat whoever they played last night.
Yeah. Oh, and it's already started. The Hornets are up 8-4.
The Cavs
on the Hawks, and Spurs Pelicans at 9:30. So yeah, what Brooklyn gets Boston now, and then
Yeah.
Cleveland gets the winner of this Hawks Hornets deal.
Yes.
And Minnesota is going to play Memphis, and the Clippers get the Spurs Pelicans win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was complaining about it, but this a cool little deal. This little 8-7 now. Hornets over the Hawks. So that just started.
And let's be honest, the Pelicans did not win the Anthony Davis trade. I don't care if the Lakers miss the next 2 playoffs. The Lakers got a championship. You play to win the game.
Yeah.
You play to win it.
Yeah,
that is the best part about being a Lakers fan is at no point have I seen Jerry West or Mitch Kupchak or Rob Pelinka or Dr. Buss or Jenny Buss or anybody come out and say, we getting some draft picks, we clearing some cap room. I've never heard that as Lakers fan. As a Lakers fan, and again, I know I'm privileged. I've never heard that. I've never heard of we trying to win the division. It doesn't matter. We go to the finals. It doesn't matter. There's championship banners and great players, and that's it. I don't know how many Pacific Division titles Lakers have. 30, 20? It doesn't make it. I don't care.
And
right?
They're gonna give trophies out too now in recognition of those divisions too. You see that? Nat Sweetwater Clifton, Willis Reed, Sam Jones. They're naming like all of them after pioneers in the NBA. But
that's good. But is like I don't know. I mean, but that's the thing. As a Cowboys fan, how many NFC East titles have the Cowboys won? Do you know the NFC East, or do you know that they won 5 Super Bowls?
Mm-hmm. Yep. 5 Super Bowls.
I don't know how many NFC West titles. Because I get Seahawks fans in my mentions. We won it. I don't care. We won 5 Super Bowls, been to 2 more. That's all I care about. I'm not worried about that. As a Kentucky fan, I don't know how many SEC championship Kentucky's won. 50, 60? I don't need to know that. Shout out to the people that get the SEC championship T-shirts. I didn't know there was a market for that. Or the regional champ T-shirts. Okay, Kentucky made the Sweet 16. Like, I don't know about that, but I don't know. Why do I need to know that?
Oh, and we can not know and still not be like championship or bust. There's the
right. Oh yeah, and
that's always saying.
Admittedly, we should probably do more. Like I've made fun of a lot of teams. Like last night, the Timberwolves celebrated, and be like, oh, act like you've been there. No, have fun. I used to kind of, baseball teams. You make the playoffs, you win a game. That's a lot of champagne and beer and all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, who's it hurting? Like, this is an achievement. Celebrate it.
Yeah.
You win the division series. Yay. You win the championship series. Yay. Yeah. You win the World Series. Yeah. Whatever, man. I think Kentucky should do more when we win the SEC championship. At least let's acknowledge it more than just, well, there's an accident on High Street. Kentucky won the SEC championship for the 33rd time. And be safe. There's a little light rain out there. Do more than that. I was making fun of Auburn and all that because the confetti was a bit much and the fireworks. That was a bit much. But, yeah, winning your conference should mean something.
And when you got bounced like you did in the SEC tournament, even more so, better celebrate that regular season win while you can.
So. Yeah. Don't be like IU and be cutting down nets like with Tom Crean. Don't do that.
After a loss, right? After
a loss. Whoever they were tied with, don't do that. But
Coach K's final thing at Cameron Indoor after a loss thinks Indiana, they're like, that's bad planning. You know.
Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, celebrate that a little bit more. I think that's acceptable.
Hmm.
I've tried not to be the fun police. Let them have a little bit of fun. Because winning your conference championship, these are the teams you play 2 or 3 times a year, usually.
Hmm.
And beating those teams, you know, it means something. I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't mean anything to Kentucky. We do it all. We do it a lot, but
Hmm. And speaking of that fun, though, like you said, just to my Atlanta Braves, the season has started, but they are still defending champs, and they got their rings the other day, and they are
woo,
gaudy to the extreme. If they as gaudy can get, and I
it,
love
it
it.
open it opens up or something, and it's got a pearl in it. Like
Got working lights in the inside. It's got the pearl. It's got tributes to Hank Aaron. It's got uh franchise is 150 years old. So the A in the middle had 150 diamonds to honor the 150 years since it started in 1871. 18.71 karat white gold because it started in 1871. 44 emerald cut diamonds to celebrate Hank Aaron, who of course wore number 44. The rubies on the inside are where all of the home runs landed that they hit in the playoffs. It's like a little mini stadium, and each little ruby is where the home runs landed. It's got lights. It's got they beat the Dodgers in 6. They beat Houston in 6. They beat Milwaukee in 4. That's on the inside. Um, it's over the top, and I love it. And shout out to the Braves. They thought of everything. Brian Snicker said it best. They thought of everything with this ring. It's like a snow cone on their finger. It's so big. It's what it looked
you,
like. It's so gaudy.
you know, uh, the championship rings are such a big deal. There's a whole wing of it at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And of all the things they got on display, the only place with a long line was looking at the Super Bowl rings.
Mm.
Like that was what people wanted to see was the wall of rings, and you can see just this progression of simple, yeah, we won to, you can't wear this because it's going to hurt your wrist, right? So why not? You play to win the game, so why not have something that reflects that?
Yeah. Yeah. So it was, you know,
So good
just
for the Braves. Good for them.
cool to happy to and as you do when your team wins something. I sat there and watched the whole little ceremony, watched them all.
Yeah.
Every staff member came out and got his ring. All the players, the managers, everybody, all the guys that aren't on the team, they'll get there at some point. But everybody that played a role was able to come out and get recognized, walk up on the podium, hear the crowd give applause, shake the owner's hand, shake the chairman's hand, shake the president's hand on the little red carpet they had out there. So good for every single one. The strength coach, the video guy, the this person, that person, appreciate, everybody got to appreciate it. So good for every one of them.
And honestly, that's where it starts. Again, I'm still going through mourning, so I'm going to bring everything back to the Lakers. But that's when Dr. Buss took over. He's basically, hey, we're going to be championship. That means everybody in the building has got to be moving toward a championship. And when you see teams that win and win consistently, it's the players, obviously, the coaches, but it's everybody in the building moving toward one thing. And that's what it takes. So good on the Braves. You going to get one of those replicas?
I might. They had a giveaway the other night, and there's a couple more times where people can get one. But it was, yeah, man, it was good
Yeah,
stuff.
you just spend that money. Your boys ain't got to worry about college. Spend that money. Get in the college fund. Man.
It's like when you thought about getting the authentic Jerry Rice when it was like $400, and you're like, was that the
Oh
authentic
yeah,
Rice jersey?
the authentic Rice jersey that I did get. Yeah, it's.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Oh yeah, I got the game day authentic jersey I got from Jerry Rice. It's about $350, but I didn't eat for $50. I've made better financial decisions than that. Let me just put it like that. I don't know if I'd pull that off now.
Right, I feel you. I'm going to look at me. I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm bringing it back to your Lakers, even though I don't know why. Well, I can't believe I'm about to do this. But since you are watching Winning Time, and as you and all Laker Nation is doing, John, and look, I don't, for y'all who don't know, I'm not a big movie person. TB loves all the movies, knows all the movies. I'm here and there on a few, but I do know John C. Riley from Step Brothers and from Talladega Nights and stuff like that. So John C. Riley as Dr. Bus, is he pulling it off in your opinion?
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. It's crazy. With the misses we're watching, and I'm pausing, filling in gaps because I can't think of the actor's name that's portraying Jerry West. I'm like, yeah, Jerry West was a tortured soul. Like losing all those finals did something to it. Like I don't know to this, cinematic extent, but like he was not a happy camper. You know, he's great, but John C. Reilly, because Dr. Bus was bigger than life, and he got what it meant to bring the Lakers from, at this point, when he bought the team, they last won in '72. So he getting in '79, and it's just the Lakers in the middle of the road. They're in LA. They're kind of forgotten about at this point. Kareem has kind of just, I don't want to say mailing it in, but
Hmm.
he's mailing it in. And so John C. Reilly is capturing that Dr. Bus essence. You know, he really shook up what the league was about. So yeah, I think John C. Reilly is doing a great job in that role, and Sally Field plays his mother. Like it's got some. The dude that plays Kareem is real good.
Hmm.
He's kind of channeling that aloofness that Kareem is known for, and
Uh-huh.
so I'm for it. Now I will say this: I don't know if Magic Johnson is going to be able to watch any of it with Cookie because
Oh,
they start to go into a little bit of his exploits. That's going to be uncomfortable. Like
she,
she probably knows, but
yeah,
there's difference between knowing and y'all sitting here watching it on the screen. That I don't know if we could.
right,
I don't know if we could do that. But
yeah,
I'm enjoying. Like I said, the book was great. Uh, just it is fascinating. Like I said, watching it because you know how the story ends.
hmm,
I'm to the point where Magic just got drafted, and they're not sold on him. But then 7 months later, you know, he puts on one of the greatest finals performances of all time.
right.
But
Uh-huh.
even then, I remember when the Lakers lost in '84, he was tragic Johnson. Like,
After playing center as a rookie, still.
oh yeah, it was like, could he
Hmm.
close the deal in '84? There was some, he'd come up short in '84 and in '83, did they lose? But I know '84 losing to the Celtics, that was, could he do it? And so, and look, last week before, sometime, Bomani Jones and that Vinny Goodwill, NBA guy, they're talking about a point I have made is Magic Johnson is better than people think. When we start to having the debate, who is the GOAT? I mean, you could put Jordan at one, you know, but we just assume that LeBron is two and maybe Kareem is three. But Magic was that dude. And I've made that point. Like Magic is always point guard number one.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like I
no,
think de facto, if you're picking based on position, Magic is number one. I've never heard anybody argue against that. It's
mm,
always the argument's always who's number two. Is it
mhm.
Steph, Isaiah, whoever? Strangely enough, John Stockton never gets brought up, even though he's got two big records. Which
Yeah,
for
yeah,
for me, records are nice, but they sometimes don't tell the whole story.
mhm.
Because I think you can make a legitimate argument that if you are ranking NBA point guards, maybe John Stockton is 7 or 8, of dudes I would take,
Mm-hmm.
and that's Magic, Isaiah. You throw in Chris Paul, you throw in Gary Payton.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dudes I would take before John Stockton.
Mm-hmm.
Steph, if you consider him a point guard, is on that list as well.
Yeah. It, it's that's the whole Utah thing. It's the style of play. And he was clutch. He was efficient. He did his thing. All those back picks that he set on big men.
Well, and
All of that,
the thing about Utah is I've not met any Utah fans like out in the wild. Like I know people in Louisville are root for the Jazz now because Donovan Mitchell's there, Daryl Griffith played there, but I've never met any diehard Jazz fans. I've come across fans of just about every other franchise in North America, but Utah, it's Utah, and then you throw in, Karl Malone's off the court stuff and John Stockton's off the court stuff, and it's just.
Mm-hmm. Just the way they were good and successful and 50 games, 60 game seasons, all that.
They made the playoffs every year.
All of that, and just this style of play didn't gravitate to us. The pick and roll, okay, John is talking to Karl Malone. It was consistent, it was steady, it was reliable, it was all that, but it just didn't grab anybody outside of Salt Lake City.
And the problem with Karl Malone being 6'9", 250, shooting them elbow jumpers from the free throw line, that ain't gonna get it done, buddy. Like that is not gonna get it done. And he was a bully. He only picked on dudes smaller than him. He opened Isaiah. He elbowed. I think he knocked out David Robinson. David Robinson ain't gonna fight you. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
And with Scottie Pippen trash talking him, mailman don't deliver on Sundays. You let Scottie Pippen, who nobody is thinking is that dude, trash talk you. Come on, man.
Mr. Migraine got in your head.
Yeah. And then you let Dennis Rodman make a monkey out of you in 2 straight finals. Get out of here, Mayo. Get out of here, man.
Mm-hmm. Some people that would have, Antoine Carr was on his team for a little bit. That's probably a dude that would have, would have beat him down. Oakley was in the Eastern Conference, so he didn't battle with him 3, 4, 5 times a year, and in the playoffs, he didn't have to do that. Mahorn was in the East, so he didn't have to, and he missed out on a lot of that, and the West was kind of up and down more anyway, because Showtime Lakers and the Nuggets was putting up a bunch of points, so he wasn't grinding with a lot of the true enforcer type dudes at the power forward spot back then.
Yeah, I've never been a big Utah fan.
No.
Utah's got the All-Star game next year. That'll be fun because all the bars close at 8. And what goes on at the All-Star game, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But real quick, I'm not a golf guy. I don't think you're a golf guy, but Tiger Woods getting back out there at the Masters. Tiger Woods is the only reason I've ever paid attention to golf. Let's just be upfront with that. He's still must-see TV.
Yeah.
And he's on that list of dudes to transform the sport. And you can go on with his off-the-course stuff, and, he's had some drama and all this kind of stuff, but I always like Tiger. He's our age, a little bit older, been through a lot, and he could have packed it in, but I don't know if you watched any of it. He's just looking like an old broken man, but he's kind of willed himself to perform. And my only takeaway from Tiger Woods is he never cheated the fans. Yeah. He gave everything he had. Now, I don't know if he should keep golfing, but he does not look right.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had all that stuff before that car crash, and now
I was
So
surprised he even gave it a go. I was
yeah,
surprised. I mean, whew.
Tiger in that red shirt on Sundays, that used to be game over.
Mm-hmm.
So I know he didn't get the majors record, but I don't know how you don't put Tiger Woods #1 on your list if you're talking about golfers. Like he brought in a whole new dynamic, not only diversity, but if you look back at those 80s and 90s golfers, what the dudes look like today,
Yo,
it's night and day.
yeah,
Now, dudes can wear that snug stuff, and they like, he
Jack,
made golf a thing.
yeah. What's his name? Brooks. Brooks
Brooks
Koepka looked
Koepka,
like somebody. He looked like a middle linebacker for somebody out there.
and he didn't make the cut. Like
Yes.
dudes that are right didn't make the cut, and Tiger made the cut,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just different. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember back in '97, his first go at the Masters. It was that Sunday. I was at home. Went back to Lexington and called my dad. One of the few times I talked to him on the phone, because you know how dads are on the phone, at least my dad. And he's like, you need to turn on to watch this Tiger Woods. I said, my dad was not a golf guy. He's like, you got to watch what he's doing. That's when he like obliterated the field and everything. And that was a moment.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to like Tiger Woods, but you got to tip your cap to what he was able to do to a sport that wasn't inviting to a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
particularly at the Masters.
Right. He transformed it all. Like, yeah. Changed everything. Like, and
Yeah,
all these
yeah,
guys, all these guys now, Ricky Fowler and Koepka and what's his name, Bryson, all these dudes in the weight room and all that doing,
yeah.
they grew up watching Tiger.
Completely changed it. And he's on that list of, remember he was on game shows, TV shows at 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing putting challenges 5 or 6 years old. And his dad said he's going to be great. And as he came up the junior ranks, that's what to me makes LeBron special. Look, that dude was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 16. They said he's the chosen one. And you and I are old enough to see a lot of chosen dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And to do it at such a high level, it's just remarkable. Because again, we've seen so many of these young phenoms in high school and even at the college level that either burn out, flame out, don't get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And Tiger was everything his dad said he was going to be.
Yep.
Just like LeBron, everything that his dad said, or that he said he was going to do. That's
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous.
No, it really is. It really, truly is. Sure is.
And for these guys and like LeBron to do it without going to college and getting that structure, that's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He was asked to save a franchise at 18. I mean, that's and he did it because Cleveland was terrible after those Mark Price years. After Jordan put him out and Lenny Wilkins moved on and Mark Price and Elo and all those guys, Ron Harper left, Cleveland was
Chicago.
bad. At least when you look at some of these all-time greats and when they go to these teams, Magic Johnson went to a team with Kareem. Okay. The Lakers were not great, but they weren't great by Lakers standards. They weren't terrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Celtics, Bird came in and did that turnaround. And even, Jordan on the Bulls, I don't think he walked in the door, they said, you got to save us. That was pretty much what LeBron had from the time he got drafted. You got to save us.
With subpar coaching, too. He didn't even have it wasn't like he was, playing for Dr. Jack Ramsey. He wasn't like wasn't like Hubie Brown was there teaching him
right.
everything. So
right.
kind of self-taught in the process.
And that first go and see, this is a good segue to a sad note. with Dwayne Haskins.
Mm-hmm. Freeze up. TB might have froze up, but yeah, we definitely pick up with the Dwayne Haskins conversation. Get TB to jump back in as well. Talking about LeBron being self-taught because he wasn't playing for a great coach all those years in Cleveland. Went to the finals, beat the Pistons, all of that on his own, so to speak. Hit TV, there you are. There you are.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
I don't know. This is the internet here in Iowa. But the Dwayne Haskins news, it's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot to unpack. You can start with Adam Schefter's tweet. And he was vilified for it, and rightly so. For some reason, we allow ourselves to, we forget these athletes are people. And you can report a young man passing away without, well, he struggled.
Right.
In the NFL.
Right. Had plenty of time to say that.
Beginning, he was only 24.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at Hall of Fame quarterbacks before they turned 24, not a lot of them were lighting the league on fire. And when we talk about bad situations, he went to a bad situation. The Washington football franchise has been in the news. The best part of the news cycle for them has been the name change, which is a dumb name. So when you think Washington football team is like, no, not the sexual harassment stuff. No, not the. Now Daniel Snyder's cheating everybody out of money. Like, that's a bad franchise. And when you think about that, the owner wanted to draft Haskins. The coaches didn't want to. So he's walking a situation knowing these people that are trying to coach you up don't want you there. That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder he struggled. And this is the same regime in Washington that basically ruined Robert Griffin.
Yo.
So he's a young man with all this promise that struggles. And a lot of times what happens with that is we focus on the struggle and how people handle struggle. And with Dwayne Haskins in particular, this is probably the first time in his life he had to struggle at football.
Right.
Remember, Joe Burrow, Joey B, couldn't beat out Dwayne Haskins at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
That's how good this dude was at Ohio State.
Yo.
And so he struggled. And if you're in an environment that's not great, maybe you don't make all the best decisions. I didn't at 22, 23, 24. Quiet as it kept. I don't do it all right now. But this young man is trying to figure it out. And then that Gil Brandt with his, he was living to die? What the hell does that, what? And this is the kind of stuff they say about black people. It's what they said about Sean Taylor. When they all said, because he had some run-ins with the law, he did X, Y, and Z, he somehow deserved to die. Come to find out it was a break-in. Had nothing to do with anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why there's this disconnect between players and the media.
Yo. That's why Players Tribune was born.
Right.
Go tell their own story without a mediator.
Right. And so the story should be a 24-year-old lost his life. Rest in peace. Thoughts and prayers to his family. But the amount of people that didn't see an issue with it, that's my thing, is we have become where these athletes owe us something. And they don't. They're people.
Mm-hmm.
They don't owe anything. Kentucky fans are losing their mind about what Shaden Sharp's going to do. Well, he just came here. What's it to you?
Yo.
You're not being asked to pay because he traveled with the team. What's it to you?
Mm-hmm.
All I know is Cal said he's coming. He's not going to play this year. He's going to play next year. That's what the young man and his family's telling him. Cal's got to let him come on campus. That's a got-to situation.
Yeah.
Young man says, I'm not playing. Family says he's not playing. Well, Cal should have played him. How? How do you just push? Like, what are you talking about? Well, he doesn't owe you anything. He doesn't.
Nope.
Well, we don't want to set a precedent. This is one person. The problem is, and I'm going to quote Bomani Jones again, be good at something. When you're good at something, you get other opportunities. Well, when I went to school, yeah, when you went to school, you had to work hard. Like, be good at basketball. I don't know what else to tell you. The same rules don't apply to everybody. I hate to break it to you. In America, who you are and what you can do means something. I hate to break it to you. Like, I got to tell people, when you look at Kroger Field, the rich folks can drink and the regular people can't. Well, again, in America, rich people get to do extra stuff. I hate to be the one to break that to you, but it just happens. And should it? Is it fair? Well, probably not. But
yeah.
If life was fair, I would have been 6'7" and playing basketball for the Wildcats. That'd be my own jerseys back there if life was fair. But it ain't. I'm barely 6 foot. I can't run 2 steps without tripping over my own feet. That's just the way it is. But how did I get to school? Got in the books and I got me a full ride. Like, be good at something. You want to go to school for free? Be great. I don't know what to tell these people. They don't owe you anything. But when we look at fantasy football, we look at all these gambling and all this kind of stuff, we start seeing these people as just numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Like people, dogging on Karl Anthony Towns last night on the 2-year anniversary of his mother, on top of all the other people he lost in his family through COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I just, when people call him soft, I'm like, y'all, you just don't know these people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just loath to call somebody playing at this elite level soft. I can't do it. It's like, your man Jim Rohn talking to Jim Everett. I saw it was like the 20-year anniversary, something like that. It was like a 20, 25 years, call me Chris Everett, and he flipped up. Look, man, I think it's fair if you're covering sports. I think it's fair. Look, so-and-so's in a hitting slump. He's 2 for his last 30. Or, somebody's lost something on his fastball. But when you start placing some kind of value, their personal value on this stuff, that's when it's going a little too far. Like, we can all agree, Russell Westbrook this year stank up the joint.
Yeah.
But we don't need to try to make stuff personal. And that's where we get these guys aren't missing baskets to get at you personally. Like,
right.
What's it to you? That's my whole thing is we have this ownership of people, and it's not good. It dehumanizes them. Well, they get paid a lot of money. Well, yeah, but still, that Chris Pronger, I don't know if he's a hockey guy, played the NHL 20 years. He's got these tweet threads that breaks down the finances for athletes. What you see versus what they have to pay out. Uncle Sam got to get his, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people are like, well, I wish I could live off the $2 million. Well, that's not what he's saying. He's not saying feel sorry for these guys. What he's saying is, you see somebody sign for $6 million, that's not what goes into their bank. And he breaks it all down. And he's like, well, Granted, yes, that's still that $2 million into the bank. That's still a lot of money for a lot of people. All he's doing is just trying to show you there's a difference between this number and this number. But it's okay to humanize people a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my whole thing. Is last thing, it's like what happened to Terrence Clark. I remember when a lot of Kentucky fans dogged that kid out because they thought he was just coasting until he was ready for the draft. And he came out and he tried to play. Trying to improve his draft stock. Don't.
Ooh, everybody that's draftable. That's all everybody's trying to do is improve their draft stock. So
that's what everybody at college is trying to do.
Yeah.
I understand when it comes to college, it should be about education, right? But college has fundamentally changed. It's very rarely where people go just because they want to learn something. I got to go get some skills, get some knowledge so I can go do something. Now, I took a couple of classes that, I think I took a anthropology class or whatever it was. Like, okay. But for most of us, we go to try to get a degree to do something. Now, admittedly, I'm not using my kinesiology degree, but the point still is out there. You go to kind of help yourself, and that's what college has become. We can say, well, the purity, that went out in the 40s and the 50s. We ain't doing that no more. People trying to go to college to help themselves move down the line, right? That's what it is. So why shouldn't these ball players be able to do it? I see some of the old people talking about the transfer portal. If every other student and every other person in America could wake up and be like, I don't want to do this. I want to go work there. I want to go to school there. They should be able to do it.
Nope.
That's just as American as anything. You wake up tomorrow, you say, you know what? I found me a new job. My missus worked at a job for 15 years. Started checking around, found a job, doubled her salary. She's like, oh, okay. You should be able to do that. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's good for us. But I'm saying, so the transfer report, we got too many people in it. Okay. Well, sometimes they don't make good decisions. They're 18. Sometimes you make bad decisions at 18. You can't protect adults. Whether it's NIL money, what do they do with it? Why do you care? Why do you care? It's not coming like Dabo Sweeney. Look, Dabo. I'm old enough to remember when Clemson was seeing a team lose in miraculous ways. You end up with Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson back to back. And we saw this year without him, if Dabo ain't got an elite quarterback,
TJ Ungalile wasn't it. It didn't happen.
You got your $9 million. The NIL, it's not even coming out. It's not your bleeping money. What are you doing? Why do you care?
Yeah. That's so weird.
But
and I don't know.
It is always these people that benefit the most that talk about it, talk about this stuff. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. But I'm off my soapbox for that.
Yeah, he's not even that old. He played recently from nowhere, Alabama. So he, come from nothing. But yeah, he can't appreciate these young fellas getting
just a little taste.
Piece of pie. Speaking of too, NIL, Oscar Shebe looks like things are kind of falling into place for him. Speaking of, he won the Oscar Robinson Trophy, your Papa B's favorite player.
Yes,
he was
absolutely.
there in all blue with the trophy, and the trophy is Oscar with the iconic pose where he's got his legs spread out.
Yeah, I can't even do that. That'll rip my hip flexors, so I'm not gonna do that.
Be hamstring shrapnel all over the place if we try to do that. But congratulations to Oscar for getting that, and his NIL stuff, they're, overcoming obstacles and cutting through red tape. Hopefully he can just make a decision without a lot of headache, because we know his mom and family's in the Congo, and we know there's deadlines to when you gotta, get your evaluation and decide what you're gonna do and all that. At least know, okay, if I'm definitely in line to get this money from NIL, it's gonna be thus and so, and it's gonna be here at such and such a time. Not, well, maybe you're gonna get it, or you might not, or you could get it, but it's still with your visa the way the rules are. At least let him be able to make a decision one way or the other without all of that other headache, to where, okay, my evaluation is this. I want to go take a chance on being a second rounder. Oh, well, I got this much on the table if waiting on me from Big Old Tires and whoever else from Lexington want to give me some money. At least let it be a stress-free decision, and then he can do whatever he want to do.
Yeah, he's got Mitch McConnell on it. So
Yep.
Mama B's least favorite thing, but I won't bring that up. My dad almost gave Mitch a 2-piece way back in '83, so should have let that happen. But yeah, I'd love to see how come back, but I'm not going to be like these folks. You know what I'm talking about, where every day we try to get a new starting line. I don't have the bandwidth for that. I don't know all the names in the transfer portal. I'm not worried about that. There's too many other things I got to worry about than some hypotheticals with 1,200, 1,300 kids in the portal. I'm not worried about that.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Before we close, too, I gotta give a shout out to Ryan Creech. He's a little bit younger than I am, so I went in school with him. But his dad used to work with my dad, and he put on Facebook the other day. He put a comment on there. He said he had found us on Roku, had been enjoying watching us. Says keep doing what we're doing, and this is from him. He said this is from your favorite U of L fan, which is rare. You talk about not seeing Utah Jazz fans in the wild. Seeing a Louisville fan in Eastern Kentucky in the wild, that makes the record players screech to a halt. Because you just don't.
But you're wondering how I got here. Yeah.
So I think he did kind of like you. Went to Louisville and kind of became a fan once he went to school up there in Louisville. And so he's a Cards fan now, kind of like you did, coming to Kentucky. But he's watching us on Roku and enjoying us. So definitely had to give Ryan a shout out, and we appreciate it. And appreciate everybody who takes the time to peep at us on the Roku.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, and yes. And just like you said the other day after a long day of podcasting. Nothing quenches my thirst.
Yeah, after a long day of podcasting, nothing quenches my thirst quite like Gatorade, the thirst quencher. Lemon lime's my favorite.
Absolutely. So yes, thanks again to Gatorade. I'm a cool blue guy, not just I'm a Kentucky fan. I like the cherries and oranges and all those other ones too. But
the girls like it's the drink is white, but it's cherry flavored. I don't know. I just go lemon lime because that's what I used to get in the glass bottle. I'm old timey. taking it back. We make glass bottles.
We could almost lose teeth on Gatorade bottles when we were 7 and 8 because that
glass. Man, it was that thick glass too. Like somebody hit you with that bottle, you try to fight, man.
Sure. So appreciate Gatorade.
Man, I go on to YouTube. I watch old G.I. Joe cartoons on the Hasbro. Yeah. And so I watch some of those 80s cartoons or some of those 80s commercials. I'm like, my God, that stuff is all dangerous. Like it was all metal and lead and asbestos and whoo. The light bright was 1,000 degrees. Like it was, you get sunburned from light bright. Oh, take me back, man.
Times we lived through.
That's why I try to explain to the girls, like, you know how when y'all go to the parks and stuff, there's all these rules. Our generation was the last generation didn't have no rules. Like it was just, the summertime. Look, you got to get out. You got to get back when the lights come on. That's how it was in my house. It wasn't. We didn't have all check-ins and this kind of stuff. But I ain't gonna do the get off my lawn kind of stuff. But it was different back in the 80s.
We kind of led to those rules being written. That's why it was
exactly
the reason those rules
Little Johnny went missing.
On the side.
Don't be like Johnny. Little Johnny got hit by a truck. Look both ways.
That's it. He over there skateboarding where he should have been.
There we go. But that's a good show, man. Coach Collins coming in, chopping it up. That was great. That was fantastic.
Absolutely. Enjoy Coach Collins. Hope y'all enjoy it. Y'all, like I said, follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Cats Talk Wednesday. All these episodes are on demand on Roku, BS3 TV. Appreciate that. Appreciate Ben Sutters and all he does. Appreciate you, TB. And you just bringing the soapbox, no soapbox, whatever you do each and every time. Y'all check him out. He's back on the Round the Shots thing. So on Sundays, you're on there doing your thing. So Kevin and
Kevin invited me back on to chop it up. So that was good stuff, man. Good stuff. But another fun show. Let's do it again next week, man.
Absolutely. For TB, this is Vinny. If I can play the right outro, I'll play it on the way out. I screwed it up on the beginning. Let's see if I can get it right here, y'all. Everybody take care and thanks again for watching.